come from Nigeria. Well, I was born there, and when I was the young age of 18, I went to London. My father worked for an airline, and we traveled the world. But as a very young man, there was something inside of me that was very quiet, but a very quiet urge, and I wasn't quite sure. I knew that I wanted to expose myself to the world, to discover, and when the time came at 18, I decided to stay in London and began my young man experience. I went to school, I studied economics, and I lived my life in London as a young man of 18 years old, 19, 20, as you would expect. I experienced a lot of things in London which began to bring out the best and the worst in me. But before this, in Nigeria, my father had given us a pointer in spirituality. He had brought us up to fear God, in a very charismatic way. So there was this love of God in me, But as a young man, I had fun in London, and I got into some problems, as you would expect. I played too much. I was working. There was money, and I began to realize that I am not such a superman. I definitely need help. And this is where orthodoxy came in. I was fortunate, incidentally, to live very close to the Russian Orthodox Church in London, in Ennismore Gardens. And one day I realized this beautiful cathedral, grade 2 listed, Italianate architecture, and I went in there. And I saw that it was such an oasis of calmness, of stillness. I felt something peaceful there in the midst of the upheaval of London. I began to speak with the fathers there, and my first thought was that what would they think of a black African man, in this wonderful place of Orthodox spirituality. The first thing that touched me was the love and the normality they had. They seemed to know me. I was shocked that they knew the kind of life I had. They seemed to identify a lot with me. I felt so comfortable with the fathers there. And within 2 years, I baptized as an Orthodox Christian. But of course, what also helped was that I met a very wonderful lady who is Russian, who when we met was not practicing her faith because she was also young and a student. And then when we shared a few difficult experiences, she began to draw on her faith as well. And I can say that together we began to seek the Orthodox faith, and the Orthodox way. And this is how it started. And this was in 2005. I got baptized in Cambridge, in the Cambridge parish. And then, of course, as you know, after baptism, you have made a commitment, a dedication to the faith. But of course, the trials don't stop. And in fact, they got a bit more severe. And I needed to find a place to separate myself from the fast living of London. I needed a place of tranquility. I needed a place to reflect. I needed a place to find myself and to find the God inside of me. I knew I had him there, but I didn't know him. Everything was too noisy, too fast. And I was told by a friend of a friend that if I'm really serious, if I really want to find the true way, if I was courageous enough, I wouldn't go to America, or I wouldn't go to the Galapagos or some beautiful island, which obviously had all sorts of temptation as well. But I would go to Mount Athos. And I said, what is Mount Athos? Where is Mount Athos? What is it? And I made my research. And because London has such a good connection of orthodoxy, I was able to get a lot of information from the people from the church, the fathers, and some friends of Mount Athos Society who came to the church. And they gave me the directions to come here. And I began my friendship, my servitude, my association with this paradise of the Mother of God in 2007. The interesting thing was that I stayed here for 3 months the first time I came, and the abbot did not understand why somebody like me would want to stay here for such a long time. And he asked me to go to other monasteries, he said to me, orthodoxy is alive in other places. He thought I didn't understand the separation, the purity that's present here. But so I obeyed him. I went around to a few of the monasteries in Mount Athos, and after about a week and a half, I came back here and I said to him, I really want to stay. I need to save my soul. I need to find this search, this identity that had been inside of me since I was young, and I feel that I'm in the right place to dwell. And he gave me his blessing to stay here, and that's how I began my association here with the orthodoxy in greater depth, in such a place of order, in such a place of obedience, in such a place of tradition, in such a place of the foundation of the truth. And this is how it relates to my culture as an African, as a Nigerian. I realized that the world that we live in was full of a lot of theories, a lot of excitement, a lot of things that looked so good on the surface, but after a time it fizzled out. It became quenched. I realized that could this be the foundation, the strength we need in my continent of Africa? And the interesting thing that happened to me, as more as I got into the faith, I began to look at who I am, where I am from. I thought maybe I would forget and turn my back on my culture, but I realized that it became even more rich. I realized that there might be a mission for me. There might be a need for me to at least share this truth with my people as a young man. Something that's relevant, something that's they can identify with, something that resonates with them as a young man, not as an old father, and they think he doesn't understand what the needs of the modern man, the young man who needs to make money, who needs to get married, who the political situation, the cultural confusion in Africa through so many influences over the decades. And this began to open up a lot of light in me, a lot of understanding the history of the Holy Scriptures, the similarities we have in Africa of tradition and respect, reverence to something that's beyond us, that's bigger than us. And I realized that there was a huge similarity here which we in Africa were in danger of compromising because of this charismatic, because of the new Pentecostal movement. I realized that was very, very important for the stability of the nation. Well, not only Africa, obviously. I mean, of Greece, who have been blessed with this, with this heritage, and they have shared it with so many other cultures in the world. But England as well, where I lived in, how the young people lived their lives without any roots, and people died just every day, and within 2 weeks we're forgotten. It was the next big thing. We had famous singers who went away. I had friends who passed away, and within 1 month life went on again. It was such a waste of life that I realized that orthodoxy definitely is the answer to the baseless, the groundless, the life without meaning that the young were living. And that's what has made me cement my association here. The love with which I was received, the duties that helped me to understand structure, to understand that I cannot just do what pleases me. There's an order, there's an order of reverence. I cannot just. You have to get the blessing, before to do whatever you want to do, and it's secure. It's a security that I believe that is also humbling, because as we know, pride goes before a fall, and humility is something which I believe the world lacks. And here in Mount Athos, especially here in Vatopedi Monastery, there's a lot of humility. There are a lot of fathers who have achieved great things in their lives, and here they subject themselves to the eminence of the Mother of God, to the supremacy of God. I was shocked when I have found out a few of the achievements some of my fathers here had achieved, and how content they were, how happy, how fulfilled. I realized that this really is the key for the young of today. Before they allow pride and foolishness in a way, without being, with due respect, to wipe out their lives and make them into a laughing thing, regardless of how much they had aspired to. And these are the things I have seen here. The relevance of orthodoxy, even to the financial crisis. I have been asked many times, is our crisis in Europe, is it a financial one, or is it a spiritual one? Now, I can say without a doubt, in that absolutely the financial crisis is based on a spiritual lack, a spiritual error, a spiritual ignorance, whereby the principles of faith, if applied in the economic situation, would create longevity, would create stability. It would create trust. As we all know, I mean, I work in finance. I gave consultancy on commercial property, which is being rocked at the moment. And the biggest, the most obvious thing that we detect every day is the panic of people. People tend to have the rat race mentality, to panic, to remove all the investment in one place and then pour it into another. And at a moment's notice, they hear some rumor, some hearsay, or even some evidence, and you can see that this action is repeated in a very haphazard way. Now, obviously, this does not give for long-term investments, and we all know, as business people, that anything short-term is not sustainable. We cannot live for today. If you're in business, you have to have, the short-term, the mid-term, the long-term. Orthodoxy has that. If we embrace the principles of patience, if we embrace the principles of reverence and fear of God, then we will know that I, as a person, I cannot do just what I want. I have to think of the other person, because what I do, I'm accountable for. We have to have accountability, and this is what's lacking in the situation in Europe, where even though there have been set the structures by all the European countries, but it's being done by the letter, but not the spirit. And here I believe that here in Greece, here in Mount Athos, there's the spirit of the unity of Europe, if it only can be acknowledged. We need the spirit and the letter, and this is what I believe that we have here. And we men who come here, we are foot soldiers. We are here to share in our little corners of London, of South Africa, of Greece, of Cyprus, of Russia, of Germany, of what we have here in Mount Athos. And this is the privilege and the treasure which money cannot buy. And we celebrate this even in Easter here and on Resurrection Sunday. And perhaps I have not even introduced myself. It's Maurice Bankole Banjoko, and it has been a pleasure to really spend time here. And like I said at the beginning of my talk, I came here and spent about 3 months, thinking that was enough for me. I have done my penance. I have paid my debt. But little did I realize that the mountain kept calling me back, and I thought, okay, it will be another decade before I'm here again. But I have realized that my presence here has been increasing. I have been averaging here about 5 times a year when work commitments and family commitments allow me, and here I am again this year, my second time in April. So I really wish and encourage that this will go forth and be shared by everybody listening. My father, as I said a lot earlier, brought us up in Christianity, and he had his way for us. And I became 18, and as you know, at that age you have the freedom to vote, you have the freedom to live on your own, you have the freedom to choose your way, your path in life. I chose my path, and my father observed, and when it culminated in my decision to be baptized as Orthodox, my father and my mother were very unsure about this, but they did come with me to the baptism because they felt that if they supported me, they had more chances of understanding and not losing their son into a new religion, as they thought. They were very impressed when they came to the baptism ceremony, they heard the scriptures that were read by the priest. They saw the reverence. They felt the grace in the service, even in the building. And from that time on, since 2005, my parents have accepted and embraced my faith in Orthodoxy. And most importantly, they have seen how it changed my life. Because my parents knew how I was before, the problems I had instability. I was involved in a lot of vices that young men tend to have involvement in. And then when they saw my association with Orthodoxy and they realized that I became stable, I had a very consistent relationship, which has now resulted into marriage, they have resolutely embraced and given their approval to Orthodoxy because they have seen the results it has had on their son.